Hello and welcome. Today I wanted to talk about exercise and a few ways that I feel like everybody who exercises might be kind of slightly negatively affected by their exercise or by the way they go about their exercise. And even if it's not like a very severe case of any of these things, I really think pretty much everyone's gone through at least one of these. And I certainly have not overcome all of them because I do occasionally exercise. You know, I run and cycle occasionally, and so I certainly am affected by some of these a bit. And so I wanted to talk about 5 ways that you might be being negatively affected by exercise. And this does not mean that you shouldn't exercise or that exercise is inherently bad. It's just the way you go about it. First one is something that I really struggled with about 2 summers ago when I started to get really into road cycling. And that is feeling guilty for not exercising. Like maybe you have a schedule or you want to try to go to the gym 5 days a week, but then you skip a day and you get really mad at yourself. You feel really guilty for not doing what you said you were gonna do. And it's good to set goals and have things that you want to achieve. That's great. That's part of being human. It's almost impossible probably to live and not have goals and achievements because you simply wouldn't do anything, which you can do if you're like a Buddhist monk in China, but most of us aren't. So it's great to have goals, but when you don't accomplish them, when you don't meet your own expectations for yourself, it doesn't help to get mad at yourself, to get angry, to get frustrated, to feel like you're a failure because you didn't do something you wanted to do. Or maybe you've been telling yourself for a few days that you're gonna go for a run on Wednesday morning, and then you get up on Wednesday and you just don't feel good. You feel tired. You just aren't in the mood to go for a run. It's totally okay to say, okay, I'm not gonna go for a run today. And sometimes we feel like, I don't really wanna do any exercise today, but then we push ourselves to do it and we go for a run or do whatever and we feel good. Like, that's great. But if you're just really exhausted or tired or like you have tons of other things to do, it's totally okay to say, you know what, I'm not gonna do yoga today. I'm not gonna do this today. There's nothing wrong with just taking a break. Number 2 is something that is very, very prevalent today and probably has been for a long time, and that's exercising for looks and gains and to get toned abs or big muscles. There's really no purpose for that. Health has nothing to do with how big of muscles you have or how toned of abs you have. It's not really that natural to have like a six-pack. So while exercising is great and lifting weights is good for you and going for runs and doing cardio to a certain extent is good, trying to sculpt the perfect body, your dream body, is not the way to approach the fact that you don't feel comfortable in the way that you currently look, or the fact that you can't accept yourself unless you look a certain way. And so I'm not trying to like talk down on people. A lot of people get mad at me when I talk about this kind of stuff because they think that I'm like hating, and I'm totally not. But I just want people to realize that you can be confident no matter what you look like. Confidence has nothing to do with how pretty you are, how skinny you are, how big of a butt you have, how big of arm muscles you have. When we feel insecure or we don't like the way that we look and want to change it, the act of changing the way you look does not fix the fact that you're insecure about yourself. It just covers up the problem. And so the way to go about it, in my opinion, is to try to understand what is causing that insecurity. What is causing you to feel like you need to change the way you look in order to feel comfortable or beautiful or whatever. Understand that. And then see if there's a way that you can mentally, internally come to a place where you can accept yourself and love yourself no matter what you look like. And it's totally possible. And I'm not trying to say like, I have 0 insecurities, so like you should listen to what I say. That's totally not what I mean. I'm working on it just like everybody else, but I've just found so much more peace and true confidence from accepting how I look and realizing that external beauty and appearance is not important at all than I ever did when I covered up my face with makeup or did my hair or went to the gym to try to get a good body. None of those things ever did anything. They just made me think that they were doing something, but it was really only temporary. Number 3 is something that I also really struggled with at the height of my cycling days, and that is being guilty for yourself when you don't meet achievements that you set that aren't related to like exercising or not exercising, like a number one. Like if I set a goal for a hill, or I wanted to beat a previous time that it took me to go up a certain hill on my bike, and I didn't get that, I would be so mad at myself. And there's kind of two different ways that this can happen, and it's one of them is that you're like maybe on a team or something and you feel insecure or you feel like embarrassed in front of other people because they're seeing you not achieve those things. And that's not something I really struggled with cycling because I was cycling by myself. But the other side then is just like the internal voice that says you're not good enough unless you get this certain time, unless you beat this other time. And just from my experience, I don't feel like that ever benefited me. Yeah, it might have pushed me to go harder up hills and whatever, but at the end of the day, even if I did beat my previous time going up a hill, how did that benefit me in any other way than me just beating my previous time? Like, we have to look at our motivations for exercise. That's really what this is all about. What is causing us to be motivated to exercise? Why are we doing this? Why do I need to beat that other time? Why do I need to get up and exercise this morning? Why do I need to get abs? It's so important to question the things you do. And I was going to say this at the beginning of the video, but I forgot. It's so important to question things. Question me. If some of the things I say in this video are things you've never thought about, don't just automatically agree with me because I say them and you think that I'm maybe smart or like know what I'm talking about all the time, because I definitely don't. Come to conclusions for yourself. You can totally agree with me, but only after you've really thought about it a little more, okay? I've thought about these things for a long time before I sat down and made this video because, you know, I'm young, I'm learning, and I'm always changing my mind on things. And so, yeah. Anyways, again, great to set goals, but if you don't achieve them, you don't have to beat yourself up for it. It doesn't help, it doesn't make you better, and even if it did, what's the point? This one kind of goes hand in hand with the last one, and that is beating other people and, you know, competition. And I guess it's in our human nature to be competitive. Like, that's totally understandable, but that doesn't mean that we should just say, oh, you know, it's in our nature, so who cares? We can definitely tame it a bit, if you know what I mean. We can definitely set goals and achieve them without them being motivated by the need to be better than other people, or to beat somebody at a race, or to be a stronger boxer than somebody else, or to be more flexible or a better dancer than somebody else. Those things don't help us, they just separate us from other people and they make everything a me versus you. I find it so interesting that, like, you know, if you're on a team sport, I've played tons of different team sports, and you always are happy when you win and sad when you lose, which is understandable, but it's like, why? Why is everything about winning? Why is everything about beating this other team, about being the best? I'm not trying to come to an answer of that. I'm just like saying those questions so you can kind of think about them yourself. Like, think about that in context of your own life. Why do you feel the need to beat this other person or this other team or just people in general? Why do we all feel the need to be the best? And why are we sad when we don't win something? Or when we do as good as we want to? You know, we are winning a bunch of softball games or tennis matches, or we get 7th place in a really big cross-country meet, and because of that we feel so good and we're like on this high. Why do we let our emotions depend on how well we perform at a certain sport? And the last one is one that's kind of the most talked about, I suppose, and I suppose the most obvious, and that is exercising too much. Of course, it's not good to over exercise your body, to overwork yourself. It's not healthy. It's just like eating too much or too little. And so it's really important to look at how much exercise you're doing and really question, am I overworking my body? Am I exercising every single day for far too long, or lifting far too heavy weights and just not treating my body right? Exercise is a form of self-love, but over-exercising is not. And even if we do it with good intentions and we think that it's going to benefit us, it's never good to exercise more than your body can handle. So that's really all I have to say. I just want you to kind of question, maybe, are any of these things prevalent in your life, even at a small amount? And probably they are, just a little bit for everybody. They are for me. Let me see. I definitely don't exercise too much. I definitely do feel sometimes guilty for not exercising, especially since I've started living in the van. I'm like, oh, I should really go for a bike ride, but then I remember that it takes so long to get my bike off the bike rack, and I just don't feel motivated to do it. Also, sometimes still when I'm like riding my bike or running, I'm like, oh, I need to go faster, and then I'm like, why? Why do I need to go faster? There's just exercise because it makes you feel good, and because it takes energy, but also makes you feel more energized in a way, and to maybe see nature if you exercise outside, or to just feel good. Like, that's what it's about. Yeah, if you have any questions or things you want to share about, any things that you think I kind of like miss that you've experienced maybe, definitely feel free to comment them below. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.